Woman takes remote job, feels mental health benefits within days at home. I'm at peace. Normally these articles have like the video on the very bottom. Yeah, here it is. Let's watch it full video.
I've only had a fully remote job for like 3 days now, but let me just tell you, it is hitting so damn good. Like, I think it's just the fact that when I'm at home, I'm like at peace. Like, this is my safe space. Like, you know what I mean? If you get nervous or stressed out at work or you mess up or whatever, like, this is your safe space. Like, no, they can't get me here. You know what I mean? They can't get me. Like, I'm safe. Whereas, like, in the office, I always felt like I was like, who's looking at my laptop? What's going on? Like, who's perceiving me?
I wonder if you have that anxiety because you're supposed to stay busy at work, but then again, it's one of those situations of like, how are you staying productive? And it's also the manager setting expectations, right?
And now, like, I don't have to do that anymore. And sure, I think I'm going to miss a little bit of like face to face interaction with people. It's a lot easier to like form relationships with your coworkers and stuff that way. But, like, I don't think I would trade it for the world. Like, I also have really crippling ADHD. So when I'm in the office, I'm like, like I'm literally all over the place. Like the littlest noise is distracting me. Like I just can't do it. Here, I
So the ADHD doesn't bother you at home, but it does at work. I figured it'd be the other way around. There'd be plenty of things to be distracted by at work. But then, I mean, at home rather. But then again, to counter that, at the office, if you're just trying to like focus at your job, there's always people coming up to you, talking to your coworkers, asking for things, wanting to talk to you and stuff like that. So there's also that too.
I just feel like I can like get in the zone. I can focus. I can walk to my own damn toilet whenever I want. Okay. I can take a shit in peace. Like in the office, it's like a fucking war zone. Like you're in the bathroom and then like someone walks in and then there's someone else. And then like, dude, I have poop anxiety. Like I can't do that every day. I can't live happily and have to like poop in front of my coworkers. Like,
Dude, it feels so much better to poop at home versus public toilets or anywhere else. It's just there's something that just pooping at home just feels way much better.
thank you. I can't do that. But here, my bathroom, it's all mine. It's a few feet away. Okay. I'm in and out of that bathroom like every 20 minutes because I drink so much fucking water. Anyways, I don't know why I was on this tangent, but like I just love working from home. Like I just made myself a little Trader Joe's pizza for lunch and I can go on a walk when I want to go on a walk. I can go sit on my balcony if I need some fresh air. I can pet my cat. Where is my cat? I can pet him whenever I want. Okay? Whenever I want. I'm so happy.
Let me read the comments. The mental health be mental healthing with a remote job. I will never go back. I became more introverted and anxious. Hybrid is best. I mean, yeah, there are some arguments that hybrid is better because you're like forced to interact with people. Because like remote work, you can get too comfortable with it. 100%. You get too comfortable to the point where you just have zero desire to step outside. That's where you're like door dashing too much and whatnot. You just have zero interaction with the outside world. You can get to that. You can get that bad, and then you're only seeing your parents once a month, and that's pretty much enough peopling you want to do. It's one of those things you got to force yourself to go out and see your friends and whatnot. But then again, 5 days a week to see these obnoxious coworkers you don't care about. They're all sick. That the kids got them sick, and they're spread in the office. You have to deal with them. You don't want to deal with them. Like I get that too. Like so hybrid, I get it. Like if you go to the office like twice a week, like okay, versus 5 times, that's so much better. But I mean, it also comes down to preference. Because I've read comments, my own comments, of people just crapping on remote work, saying they're the most depressing people, blah blah. This remote work is awesome for people who are introverts. Like it just feels so much better. And a lot of introverts, when they have like these stressful jobs where they have to come in the office, they don't really last that long. It's really the extroverts who enjoy going to the office, going to certain locations. And don't get me wrong, like remote work, I feel like it's going to stay, but not every job can be remote work, right? Like we need police officers still on the roads. We still need Uber drivers. We still need pilots. We still need a military. They can't work remotely. Just a lot of things, right? But there are still plenty of office jobs that it's just not needed to have people come to office. They could just do this job at work, and then everyone can jump on Teams and talk to each other that way if they really need the interaction. It's one of those things. Where are you finding these remote jobs? I have to say, they're in high demand. They are in high demand to get a remote job because it's so desirable for so many reasons, right? You don't have to commute twice a day. That's a lot. That's gas money. And also, you're not less wear and tear on your car, so there's less money in maintenance. You save money not eating $25 salads on your lunch break. If you forget to bring your lunch, you have to pack your lunch, and that's, you get to save time not having to meal prep. There's a lot of things. And like the commute, like a lot of people do 1 hour each way. That's 2 hours of your time. You're not getting paid for it, of spending gas money. That 2 hours a day is impactful. You feel it. But yes, there is a huge demand for remote jobs. It's very competitive out there. So I know that people apply for them hoping to get it. If you want it bad enough, you have to have a hugely desirable skill to get a remote job. The pooping is so real. I know, right? It's just, like I said, it just feels so much better to poop at home versus the office or anywhere else. Yeah, like I said, this person said, I've applied for over 100 remote jobs. I'm dying for this. Like I said, it's very competitive out there. Need a huge desirable skill. Another person says hybrid is where it's at. Fully work from home messed up my mental health, to be honest. Some people, that person's probably just an extrovert. Like, they need to be interacting with other people, and I get it. Some people need that. Some people are just introverts that just want to stay at home and not be forced to go out. Year 3 remote, and I'm so happy. Yeah, like I said, it's personal preference. There's a lot of positive things to be said about remote work. But again, it's personal preference. So before you start trolling into my comments, understand it's personal preference. Don't have to take the remote job if you don't want it. If you're really trying to get a remote job, then, just understand it's going to be a challenge to get it. What are the dangers of remote work? So just so this isn't all one-sided on this video, let me just pull this up from the Dave Ramsey group, right?
What are the dangers of remote work? I think 2 things. Number 1, not having the relationship that you get from collaboration and being around coworkers and feeling lonely. That could be a danger of remote work. And the second,
before he gets to the second, maybe the lonely part, I agree. Relationships with others, I think you can still achieve that through Teams and whatnot, Zoom. Make it a habit where you guys see each other in person once a quarter or something, if it's really that meaningful. My job does it. It's pretty cool. I don't mind it. Don't need it, but I think it's cool. But I don't think it's a real danger. Some might think it is. I don't think it is.
Out of sight, out of mind. If your leader doesn't see you, hear you, and it gets to a layoff situation, you could be the first one on the block. That is a danger. What are the dangers of remote?
I don't agree with that. If there's layoff situations, they already know in mind who's going to go. Just look at the internet. There's so many layoffs going on. I don't think they give a crap about who's this, that. There's certain numbers and departments that they got to get rid of. It's case by case, sure, right, overall, but he's really pulling something, and of course these guys are going to be against remote work because they're in the office, so they have to say, oh, we have to be pro in the office. All right, this video was released about a month ago called Risk for Remote Workers Leaving Big Cities Study Show.
Have you moved out of the big city seeking professional advantages in smaller places? Well, you're not alone. More workers are taking advantage of their remote jobs and leaving metropolitan areas. But
before he gets to that, let me just say why. What I believe is why. Because if you have a remote job, it's much easier to become a homeowner where you could just go to a small town that's developing. Houses there are much cheaper to buy versus a house in a city. It's night and day difference. People get a remote job and says, oh yes, I can finally become a homeowner if I move over here in this town. I don't really care where I live. I just want to buy a freaking house.
A fresh new study shows that it may end up hurting your career. Consider this. A paper from the National Bureau of Economic Research suggests that being outside of a big city may make it more difficult for you to find another job if you end up being let go by your...
If you get laid off. And that's a strong possibility. We got so comfortable in the U.S. about layoffs. Layoffs should be a rare thing, right? I understand if the employee is a piece of crap, not productive, doesn't do doesn't no longer provides. It's more of a liability than they are an asset. But we're so comfortable watching the news about layoffs, getting rid of all these good employees. Dude, getting laid off and busting your ass for a company, doing great, hitting numbers and getting recognitions and awards just to get laid off, that's so earth-shattering. It's so defeating. So it sucks that in our culture that we just feel so normalized to lay people off. Without a second thought, no remorse. It's to me, I find that weird. Comment below if you think different.
Employer. Let's bring in Aki Ito now. She's a chief correspondent at Business Insider, where she wrote an article on this trend, and you have personal experience, which you discussed in your article. I want to start with that because you discussed that you felt some of this when you moved from San Francisco, one of the most expensive places for any of us to live. So firsthand, what was it like for you?
Well, I got a new job during the pandemic that allowed me to work completely remotely.
Hold on. I don't like this. It may improve your quality of life, but good luck if you lose your job. Like, there's a negative connotation to this. Like, it's so good. You know, your life will be so much better when you get out of that awful city, congestion and pollution and crime, and have your own white picket fence house. However, the risk you take, you lose your job. And we hope you lose your job.
Completely remotely. So I took that opportunity to move out to Sacramento, which is a much more affordable place, much quieter too, which I really liked. And I tried to make it work there for a few years, but as I was driving into San Francisco every once in a while, I was realizing that I was coming back to Sacramento with better story ideas. I was just running into people, a lot more potential sources who were giving me a better idea of what was going on. Economists call this knowledge spillovers, and it's really important for knowledge workers to be running into their peers in big cities. So that was one of the reasons why I ultimately decided to come back to the Bay Area.
That's remarkable. And I understand as
like, you want to go back to your community, basically. Like, you possess a certain type of knowledge and skills that you just want to surround yourself with it. And it's only in San Francisco. Is that what I'm hearing? This knowledge can be spread out. Yeah, you might have to develop the community, but you'd rather be somewhere built. I mean, I get that. Nevertheless, this is just one person's perspective, because I'm sure there's plenty of people who would argue against this. I'm going to read the comments after this, but yeah, it's also personal preference, right? Like, okay, she wanted to go back to San Francisco, probably misses the city because San Francisco is beautiful. I find it as beautiful as it is filthy because it's just like homeless and it's just awful for me. I don't like San Francisco, but I can see why people love it.
as a journalist, why for you in your career path, that may be more beneficial to be in a big city. But you also discuss, based on this new research, that living in a big city can be a type of insurance just in case you have a major life change or something happens with your employer. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so there's this study that you just talked about that found exactly that. Where you live really matters. It's about having a lot of options or not a lot of options, depending on where you are. If you're in a big labor market, that means that a lot of employers want your exact skill set. But if you're in a small market, then there are only a few employers. So you're much more likely to have to settle for a lesser job. And you're also much more likely to have a harder time finding that next job as well. Lesser job.
I want to look at this. If laid off can increase the length of unemployment. Yeah, because actually, no. Well, yeah. Okay. Two thoughts came here. Like, maybe you just look for another remote job. However, it's not like if you're only exclusively looking for a remote job, you're looking for a job. It does not have to be just remote. Yeah, being in a city where there's more opportunities to get a job, that, you know, you'll have a better time landing a job being in a big city. Can wind up overqualified for new jobs. That, I hate that overqualification term, right? It's such a catch-22 where you're just trying to get a job, but employers are like, oh, this person is overqualified. What they really mean is we're just a stepping stone for this person. They're going to get this job, and when they get the other job that they actually really want, they're going to quit on us real soon after we spent all this time and money invested in them. They just packed up and left. We don't want to deal with that. So if you're coming up with one of those overqualified situations, I mean, first, I recommend don't. I mean, I get it. You have to work and start feeding yourself, pay rent and stuff, but I mean, I want to say just only apply for jobs that you actually want to be in. But at the same time, it's hard because I've been there too, where it can take like 6, 9, maybe a year to actually land that job. So this the whole overqualified situation works against the employer and the employee. Which is, if they say this person's going to quit on me real soon, it's probably because your salary sucks. I mean, the negotiation of the pay has to be there, but if you don't want to pay the person a good rate, yeah, you can expect them to find a better rate somewhere else. But again, it's there's I could listen to both sides of the argument and understand both sides. May have to move back to big city for work. Maybe, maybe not. Not everyone wants to move in a big city though, unless they have to for that particular job. But then it makes you wonder, like, how is small town America? I mean, why are there so many small towns, and how do those people get by? It's one of those situations that you have to figure it out. If you really, really want to live in a small town and not in the big city, it's something you have to like really think about. Of like, how do I make this work and grow from there?
A harder time finding that next job as well.
And we should note that the general trend is still that people are leaving big cities for smaller, more affordable places. But I wonder if your experience, being emblematic of what a lot of people are going through, may push things in the opposite direction. Do you have a sense of when things may level out?
Yeah, I do think the exodus is gonna end pretty soon. The economist who co-authored that study, his name's Enrico Moretti, he said that he really feels that people underappreciated the benefits of being in a big city in the pandemic. But he thinks that people are going to realize those benefits more and more as, people start to lose their jobs, or as people start to look for that next job. Maybe they're bored of their existing job. So I do.
I can only speak for myself. I don't miss the big city at all. I hate, like, I realize that like being stuck in traffic gave me anxiety, and I did not realize this until like how little I put myself in traffic. So in those rare occasions where I have to go somewhere and it's traffic, I'm like filled with anxiety because there's so many crazy people driving, just speeding, cutting you off, no turn signal, brake checking you. Like it puts things into perspective. Like, wow, no wonder I feel so more calm at home, because I don't have to deal with this traffic twice a day. Because after dealing with all that stress twice a day, and I come back home and I have to do it again tomorrow, like, I get it. I don't miss that at all about big cities. If they could fix that, maybe I'd consider, big cities more. I mean, I'm not going to take an Uber every day to work, right? I do take, if I have to go to a big city for like a sporting event or something, I do take an Uber. I'd rather do that than drive, because I don't like to leave that atrocious traffic parking lot after a game. I know the Uber ride is going to be $80, but you still got to pay like the $40 for parking anyway. So like, what difference does it make? I'd rather just pay the extra and not be frustrated with traffic. I'm paying someone to deal with the traffic. But let me keep watching the rest of this.
Do you think that the exodus is going to end in the next few years, and we're going to see these big cities, San Francisco, New York, LA, resume growing again?
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, California and New York are having huge exodus, right? Like, so many people are moving out because it's so unaffordable. So I'm talking state by state, right? People moving from California and going to, say, let's say Texas, because it's much more affordable, and they eventually find a similar job, or they work remotely from California but take that pay and move to Texas. I mean, there's so many situations, but people are just trying to get away from the unaffordability. I mean, that's what it kind of boils down to, right? If you really think about it, it's the unaffordability in the current situation, like New York or California, and they're just saying, dude, I need to figure it out. I need to move somewhere. I don't care where I live. Like, California is too expensive. I'm going to go move, I don't care, Maine or something, or Alabama or St. Louis, like somewhere that's more affordable than here. So people are doing the exodus. Are they going to come back? Not at the rate that we think right now. I feel like there's still going to be more people leaving New York and California than there are people moving into those states because it's so expensive, so unaffordable. Especially people who are just trying to start their careers, or, maybe they don't have big knowledgeable skills. So like the fast food employees, right? If you want a McDonald's nearby your big city, you got to pay them well. If not, they keep closing them down. So you can be living in a big city, but you're not going to have all the restaurants you once liked. But there is a give and take to the situation. And again, everyone has their own personal preference. My preference is I don't like going to the big city often. I know that's where the sporting events are, so I plan for it. But for me to commute to a big city for work, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to not have to deal with that. It sucks. I don't like it at all. I'm in a very happy situation where I don't have to deal with that. So as my fiance, we both work from home. So I guess there's that socialization that keeps us sane. I don't know. Just going to read some comments here, but the first one says, funny, the same businesses that say they want you in the office will fire you when they outsource their position to India. Another says, a lot of coworkers did this when we were fully remote. Now our company requires 2 days a week, and a lot of them had to quit. It's ridiculous, and we all know about it. You know what? Honestly, this is a common story where people are like, oh, my company just changed to full remote. Okay, I'm going to go move where I can get a house finally, not rent anymore. A year later, they're comfortable with their house and their job says, new policy, you have to be in at least twice a week. Dude, I can't make that commute. I'm like in another state. Oh, well, too bad we changed our policy. So either move back or quit. Most people said, all right, I'll quit. Yeah, some people came back to the office, but a lot quit. So there's also still an adjustment period where it just feels like, these densely populated areas like California and New York are just coming inside the country more. So population is spreading out across the country. It's a double-edged sword. We are essentially forced to relocate to small cities or more rural parts of the state that we live in because the major metropolitan cities are extremely expensive. The amount of rent you pay or how expensive your house mortgage is depends on your zip code. Sure, smaller cities have less opportunities for employment and the pay compensation isn't the highest, but we're all trying to scrape by the best we can. Yeah, I mean, that's so well said, because you could be in a big city with a higher salary, but your rent costs so much more. So it's like, okay, barely getting by. Or you move to a small town, yeah, you pick up a job that doesn't pay well, but your rent is less, but you're still just getting by. So it's like, what's the difference in lifestyle between the two, right? This person said, for those interested, this is a corporate bootlicking piece. I was feeling like they're kind of one-sided with come back to work type of news piece on this. The irony showing a pic at the end of a woman sitting in an office at her cubicle sitting on a Zoom meeting. She, like all of us, could have been doing that meeting from home. Yeah, very true. Sacramento is also a big city. How does this make sense? Yeah, that's true. That lady was living in Sacramento, which is also a big city, and she moved back to the Bay. I think it's because she likes the Bay Area. You're in another big city. So that was confusing, huh? One person says, and I live near a big city, San Francisco, and it still can't get an in-person job after over a year of searching. So it doesn't even matter. The job market is crap. This other person says, risk healthier life, big savings, closer to family, live longer, less stress, no respiratory diseases from pollution. Corporate spin corporations are the problem, not remote workers. They have priced out their own workers and citizens. This is a rental and housing issue also. Yeah, like I was saying, like people are going to move where they can afford, not stay at a job that doesn't pay the bills. So yeah, it makes sense. It's just the reason why I like remote work, my fiance does, is that it gave us the opportunity to actually become homeowners. Yeah, it's a risk that we could lose our jobs and we have to figure out a way to pay the mortgage. But guess what? Housing prices and mortgages, they keep going up each year. So, and we have savings that if we lose our jobs, we can float by for another year until we find something. But, we're okay overall. I'm not saying we're rich, but we're far from broke. But anyway, that's the rest of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a comment. I do read them. If you made it this far, I believe I deserve a subscribe. And click like and all that other fun stuff. So until next time, bye.